This is the lesson video for lesson 3 of the Mayron piano method, Older Beginner 1, which encompasses pages 2 to 27. So in here, we're going to start off with the song, The Broken Clock, and we're going to fill out this worksheet here together. So we'll talk through it, and then we will pause and kind of go through answers here. So first, when seated at the piano, be sure that your nose is always in front of middle C. I don't really talk about this with my students, but we're going to go ahead. The book says yes. We can go ahead and skip that question, though. Next, here, this little staff right here, look at these middle C's. So what we're going to do, if you notice, some stems or some sticks are going up, others are going down. So if you think about it, right is going up, left, the sticks that hang low or below the note head are going to be your left hand. Next, there are 2 fermatas in the broken clock. Now, if you want to pause and look at your book here on page 21 at the broken clock, you can do that. But there are 2 fermatas in the broken clock. Fermatas look like this or that. So I call them a dot and then a curvy line over the dot or under the dot. And fermata means to hold down the key a little bit longer. So it'd have you draw a fermata right there. Next, when notes are written directly above or below each other, they are played at the same time. So look at measure 9 in the broken clock on page 21. And there are 2 notes that are played at the same time there. So what notes are played at the same time? They are C and D. Okay, so then which hand plays C in measure 9 of the broken clock? So the left hand's going to play C in measure 9, and then the left hand is going to play, the right hand's going to play D in measure 9. Next, right here, you'll find a pedal mark in measure 9 of the broken clock. Pedal mark tells you to push down the right pedal. So if you only have one pedal on your keyboard, that's the pedal you're going to push down. If you don't have a pedal, again, that's totally fine. Next, there are many eighth notes in the broken clock. Write the counts on these notes below. So let's go ahead and fill these other questions out here. So we'll jump back up to this one right here. And you can go ahead and pause the video right here, or you can go ahead and keep going and watch with me. If you want to pause, go ahead and do so now and fill it out. So let's go ahead, let's go in here. So stem is going up, so we go right. Stem is going down, so that's left. Stem is going up, so that's right. Stem is going down, so that's left. Stem is going down, so that's left. So that's that. If we come down here to this next question, where it's to ask you to draw a fermata, again, draw a dot and draw a line over it. It's really all you have to do there for the fermata. Like we said, which 2 notes are played together in measure 9? Let me zoom out just a little bit so we could see some more of the questions. There we go. So in here, we got C and D. And then which hand plays C? It's the left. Which hand plays D? It's the right. Next, there are many eighth notes in the broken clock. Write the counts below. So these are kind of the counts that we talked about in lesson 1. So we're just going to go ahead and fill these in right here. We have a lot of 1s right here. And then I'm just going to write a 4. You can write 1-2-3-4 if you want right there. And then try playing the above rhythm. Play C on one hand and E in the other. I'm just going to go ahead and play C. I'm going to count to 4, and then we're going to play through this together. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you want to rewind the video a little bit and play along with that, that's totally fine. Next, what we'll have is the broken clock. Let me get my page to zoom out here. Maybe. I'm trying to zoom you out. You can do that. Let's see here. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way then. So in here, we have the broken clock. Now, again, if you notice, we have C and D. So middle C is that floater note. And D hangs out above the staff, or below the staff, excuse me. D hangs out below the staff there. So C is going to be played with your left hand. D is going to be played with your right hand. Okay, so you can watch the song video for that, there's a link for that in the description below. Then here in measure 9, these gray lines right here. And actually, yes, so we'll discuss these in the song video, but the gray lines right here in measure 9, that means to play those at the same time. You also have your fermata and our pedal mark right there. Moving on, the next worksheet, this is page 22. This is spring fever and 4 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to introduce E right here. I don't know why I can't get it to zoom. Did I break it? Okay. We're just going to do this the old-fashioned way here. So E is on the first line, or line 1 of the treble staff. And then we're going to fill up this part right here, and then we'll go down and get the rest of the worksheet written out here. So we're filling in the note names here in the blanks and then drawing lines from the notes to the keyboard here. So if you want to go ahead and pause the video real quick, fill in your lines and then your letters, and then we'll go through and answer these. All right, so we have our C right here. Then first line is going to be E. Next is D. D hangs out below. Then we have E again, and then the floater note, which is that C, and then D, and then E. Okay, and now I'm going to go and get my line tool here. Connect our notes. So there's E, there's a D, there's an E, there's a C, there's a D, and there's an E right there. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's clear all that. If you want to pause real quick, if you need to catch up. Then let's go ahead and move on from here. The bottom. So in 4 o'clock in the morning on page 23, there's a tone cluster. What 3 notes do you strike at the same time? So here's a hint if you don't want to go back in and look at the song. So think of the 2 notes that you played in Yucky Waltz and Kimmy's tune, and then think of the new one that we just talked about. Okay. Then there's a pedal mark in 4 o'clock in the morning on measure 9. You will push down the right, middle, or left pedal. Okay. Again, think of the last song, The Broken Clock, that we just played. Then this is a fermata. It means to hold down the key or play quietly. And this is a G clef. It is called a G clef because it was originally a big letter G. And then other names for the G clef are treble clef and high clef. Yes or no. And then the what hand plays the high staff notes. So I want to go ahead and pause real quick, get your answers filled in, and then we will answer them together right here. All right, so let's go ahead and answer these. So 4 o'clock in the morning, even if you did look at the song there, we play C, D, and E at the same time in 4 o'clock in the morning. And then the pedal mark, you'll push down the right pedal. We're just going to put an R to abbreviate. And then this is a fermata. It means to hold down the key a little longer. I'm just going to write hold there. And then this is a G clef. It's called a G clef because it was originally a big letter G. Yes. Other names for the G clef are treble clef and the high clef. Yes. The right hand or the left hand plays the high staff notes. It is the right hand that plays the high staff notes. So again, if you think L is for low and left. So L, low, left. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, if you want to pause real quick and get those answers written in. I'm going to clear the board and go ahead and move right along here. Ooh. Almost. Okay, I'm trying to zoom out with my fingers. There we go. There we go. All right. So on here, Spring Fever and 4 o'clock in the morning, those will each be their own separate videos that you can go in and watch. Same format that we've been doing is me playing by myself and then playing with the recording and then have the recording play so you can play those by yourself. So again, these are going to use C, D, and E on these songs. Next, Little Mice and Tiptoe. So if you remember back to Autumn Waltz and the other song that's on there, I'm going to go back and look at it myself. Autumn Waltz and the Butterfly, that's what it was. So Autumn Waltz and the Butterfly had the B flat. So B flat was on the right side of the 3 black keys or the gate. In Tiptoe, or excuse me, in Little Mice, we're going to introduce E flat. So E flat is going to be on the right side of the 2 black keys. So it lives in between D and E right here. So as we remember, a flat sign means to go backwards. So you go to the very, 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 very next key to the left. And keep in mind, a flat is not always a black key. Sometimes they can be white keys as well. Okay, so now we're going to fill these in. And we're going to take a look here. What 2 notes are played at the same time in measures 3 and 4 of Little Mice? So it's actually C and D. So we're going to go ahead and fill that out. Actually, I'm going to, yeah. So let's go ahead and write those in real quick. So C and D right there. That's what you'll play together. And then in the song video, you'll see how those are played. Okay, got those written in. We're going to move on. Next, so this is our first mystery message in the book. So what mystery messages are is that it takes notes that we've learned so far, and we try to answer or fill in the words here. So these are basically kind of like what we've been working on, where we fill in the notes and connect the notes to the keys. This time we're going to try to figure out a message. So your teacher may assign this to you for homework, or you could work on it now if you want to. But go ahead. We're going to take a 5-second pause real quick for you to go ahead and fill that in, and then we will fill it out together. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's take a look at this here. So how we do this is that we're going to take a look at the note above the blank. And we know that that first one is E. So I'm going to write in the, or E to make the word the. And then we have another E. And we're going to fill that in. So we have the little, and then we have D. And then our next note is C. And then our next note is E. So the little dancer, and then D, C, E. So the little dancer dances. Next line right here, E. And then C. Then we have D. And we have D again. And then C. Then E. And then E. And the rest are E's here. So once we get all these filled in, what we have here is the little dancer dances each day, dancing about, she performs her ballet. So that's how those mystery messages are going to work. You're going to find those more and more as we go along in the book here. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next page. So we're going to start talking about time signatures. I've already mentioned a couple of these before, especially in previous lesson videos and song videos, but time signatures are basically how we organize the music. So we talked about a little bit about the page that was about music or about the staff and things like that. So let's go over this here real fast. So time signatures, the top number in the time signature tells us how many beats are in the measure. So that's how many counts. So when I've been saying we have 2 measures or 6 counts or 8 counts, those are actually 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the bottom number, this is where it gets a little tricky. Bottom number actually represents a type of note. So this is, think back to your quarter notes, your eighth notes, your half notes, your whole notes, and things like that. So the 4 is always going to stand for the quarter note. So how I tell my students to think about this is how many quarters equal $1? 4. So 4 quarter coins equal a $1 bill here in the United States. Okay. So in this instance, we could fit up to 3 quarter notes in each measure. Okay, so now here's what we're going to do. We are going to fill out this first row right here. You're going to fill out the count. So if you notice in this first measure, we have 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 combined because we have the half note right there. So we're going to pause the video, try to fill this out as best as you can, and then we'll come back together and answer it. Okay, so now we've got 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 there in the first measure. This one, dotted quarter or dotted half note, it's going to be 3 beats. So I want to write a 1-2-3. Now I have 3 counts there. I need a 4th, so I'm going to write 4 right here for my last half note or my last quarter note there. Okay, then again, I'm going to have 1 and then 2-3 because we have a half note, and then 4 again for the quarter note, and then 1, 2-3. Now, if you want to write just the numbers here, you can absolutely do that as well. Okay, so if you want to pause the video right there and get that filled in as well, and then we'll move on. All right, continuing on here. What this page is doing right here is talking about writing in counts for the eighth notes. We're just going to go ahead and skip this right here. But if your teacher wants you to fill this out, what this would look like is basically 1 and 2 and, because even though we're not really counting eighth notes at this point, they're still going on. So for example, in the measure there with the 2 half notes, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, kind of like that. Okay, so then last couple pages here in the lesson 3 is little mice. So again, we're going to talk about this in the song, but you notice here in measure 3, the 2 half notes, you'll play those together. And then you have your E flat right there. Then in tiptoe, we changed the E flat back to normal E. So these are all 3 white keys right here. And then we'll talk about tiptoe there in the song video. So there is the overview for lesson 3 in the Mayron piano method, older beginner level 1.